Interviews suck. It makes me nervous just thinking about them. Because sitting for an interview is the most awkward and stressful and unnatural time of your professional career. It's where you formally showcase yourself to strangers. But the uncomfortable feeling is only temporary. Whether you're a new grad or someone looking for a new opportunity, this is a crucial step in the development of your career. I'm here to tell you about some practical and evidence-based tips that will lead you to a successful interview based on experience and research. All this to make interviews suck less through evidence. Hi, my name is Michael Feasby and I'm a registered nurse. I've sat through hundreds of interviews on both sides of the table. I've had intimate one-on-one interviews and I've had panel interviews up to 7 people. Additionally, I've been to multi-stage interviews that took over a month to conduct. I have helped dozens of my friends successfully get jobs they wanted because I genuinely want people to succeed, both professionally and personally. Research suggests getting feedback on interviews changes an individual's belief in his or her capacity to execute behaviors necessary to produce specific performance outcomes, such as an interview. Job seekers who received more job offers were more confident with their subsequent interview capabilities. In other words, the more and more interviews they had, the more success they had, and internally their capabilities changed. Their confidence levels went up, and future interviews were also seen as more successful. Research also suggests when job seekers believe that job offers were caused by their own behavior, the relationship between interview success and confidence in the ability to exert control over one's motivation, behavior, and social environment was stronger. Now, focusing on my personal experience, I have found that there's 3 parts of the interview process that you need to focus on. It's the pre-interview, intra-interview, and post-interview. First of all, congratulations for even getting the opportunity to have an interview. It says a lot about your character. You've met all the minimum requirements and all the qualifications for this job opportunity. The key word is opportunity. It's an opportunity to market yourself to a potential employer. Don't just market yourself, market your best professional self. That said, come prepared. You need to be prepared for 2 sets of information. The first set specifically relates to the business or organization, and the second set mostly relates to you. Let's first talk about the organization. You should be familiar with its business and mission, the job functions that you're going to be interviewing for. For example, if it's a med-surg job, what type of med-surg? Is it oncology, telemetry? Is it surgical, purely medical? You can find most of this information on the website. Or if you know someone that's there, you can ask your contact what type of unit it is. Now, let's talk about the information you should prepare about yourself. You're going to want to practice some interview questions. Things like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? What are some of your main strengths and weaknesses? Now, everyone has weaknesses, and it's good to assess what are some of yours. It actually shows great strength and fortitude to acknowledge some of your weaknesses. That's what you're doing about those weaknesses, which is actually more important than having them. Me, for example, one of my weaknesses is public speaking. It makes me so nervous. I think about, what if I'm up there and people judge me or make fun of me if I make a mistake? So what I'm doing about it is I try to simplify the information that I'm going to deliver to my audience down to 2 to 3 main points that I want them to take away. Kind of like this video where we're going to be talking about the 3 phases of the interview process. And one of the last things I want to talk about in preparation for an interview is to bring a few things. 1, Bring a resume just in case they don't have it and extra for you to refer to. 2. Bring a list of strengths, weaknesses, and a list of other stories that are relevant to the job that you're interviewing for. 3. Bring a list of interview questions, about 4 to 7 things that you want to know about the department you're interviewing for. And 4. Bring a pen so you can write down all the answers. Alright, now let's say that you're led into the room where you're going to conduct the interview. And let's say you sit down. The first thing I would do is I would get organized. I bring my resume, my list of papers, a pen, so that way you can easily refer to each item. It's possible that a formal introduction might take place. You kind of want to take note of their names. So take your pen, just jot down their names and their titles. After everyone's introduced themselves, they're going to ask you to introduce yourself. This is an opportunity to have a 30-second elevator pitch to describe who you are. And after that, the formal interview questions should begin. And when it comes to answering interview questions, the goal is to resonate with your interviewers. And if you're prepared well enough to resonate with them, it shouldn't be too difficult. For example, if you're an ICU nurse interviewing for an ICU job, you should be talking about high-level things that are specific to an ICU. You don't want to talk about skilled nursing facility skills, but things that you've done in the ICU, because the people in that room will know exactly what you're talking about. Also, when you're answering questions, you might be a little bit nervous. I know I get nervous. Research suggests that by focusing on broader impressions such as assertiveness and interpersonal warmth in an interview, the interviewee tends to score higher. Also, in the article, "The Job Interview's Scientific Secret is Likability." The authors in the article break down into simple terms that the things that we want in an office are not always the most competent, the most experienced, or the most educated people around us. They are more inclined to hire colleagues that are likable. Researchers found that when colleagues were faced to choose between a competent jerk or the lovable fool, they tended to choose the one who was more lovable, or their likability over ability. Also, when answering questions, you want to put a positive spin to things. Put a positive spin on your strengths and weaknesses to show the interviewers that you're more than just what's on your resume. Also, when answering interview questions, you want to give a thoughtfully crafted presentation. So before the interview, you should anticipate questions and have clever and smart answers for them. I have personally found answering in the S-bar format to be very successful when answering curveball or out of the ordinary questions. S-bar stands for situation, background, action, recommendations, or results. It's a predictable flow of information that healthcare professionals are very familiar with. It helps them relate more to you and you to them. Also, you want to be enthusiastic.
Not crazy enthusiastic,
but positively enthusiastic. And when responding to questions, you should have an outward excitement, confidence, and enthusiastic tone about yourself.
Because let's be honest, nobody wants to work with a Debbie Downer.
But don't be arrogant. I wouldn't recommend coming into an interview guns blazing with all the identified problems that you've seen, because people like the facility and they take pride in it. So when you come in there and tell them all the problems, they might take it as a slap in the face, and you might inadvertently construct negative reactions in an otherwise successful interview. Alright, so we talked about the pre-interview, intra-interview. Now let's talk about the post-interview. So now that they've asked you all their questions, now it's your turn. You get to ask them the questions that you've been wanting to know. So with the questions that are already in front of you, go one by one and ask each individual one question. And I would recommend asking a minimum of 4 up to 7 relevant questions. And as they answer your questions, with the pen in front of you, write down what they say. And feel free to ad-lib or ask an additional follow-up question. And continue to present yourself in a likable manner. And when you believe that the interview is fully conducted, you can begin to start to wind things down. thank them for the time and that it was a pleasure meeting them. And since you wrote their names down, try to have a follow-up email or letter or postcard thanking them personally. Alright, let's recap what we talked about. We talked about the three main phases of the interview process: pre-interview, intra-interview, and post-interview. In the pre-interview, the biggest takeaway I want you to have is to prepare. Practice, practice, practice. It is key. During the interview, the biggest takeaway I want you to have there is to answer questions in the S-bar format. It's been very successful for me, and it'll help you out with expected questions and unexpected questions, I promise. And in the post-interview, I want you to ask them questions. Watch their body language and how they respond to questions that they are not expecting. It's a telling sign, and you'll be surprised what you'll find out. Alright, good luck out there. I genuinely want the best for you. If you have any questions, you can always email me. And now I have a special gift for you. I highly recommend developing answers to questions that are going to be asked of you. And the only way to do that is to actually have questions to work from. I will email you the exact questions I pull from a bank of hundreds of questions. Again, good luck, or good skill, because luck has nothing to do with it. Practice.